The coastal air drifted through the open window, warm and heavy with the scent of the harbor. The night outside was calm, the sound of waves brushing softly against the pier just beyond the street. Claire sat at the dining table, her hands resting still on the stem of a half-empty wine glass. The candles she had lit an hour ago were nearly gone, their flames shrinking lower with each quiet moment that passed. The clock on the wall read 9:47. Ethan was late again. She had told herself it didn't matter, that this dinner was just another attempt to hold onto something that had already loosened. But as she watched the candlelight tremble across the glass, she realized how much silence could hurt when it stretched this long. She glanced toward the doorway, expecting footsteps, an apology, a familiar smile that would make everything temporarily right again. But there was nothing, just the faint hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of wind stirring through the trees. The house, which had once felt too small for their laughter, now felt impossibly large. Outside, the streetlight cast a pale glow over the porch. Claire could see her own reflection faintly in the window, a woman still dressed as if she were waiting for someone who might not come. Her hair was pinned carefully, her makeup subtle but deliberate. She looked like she was trying to prove something to no one in particular. When Ethan finally walked in, his steps were slow, cautious. The door closed behind him with a softness that said everything words could not. He didn't rush to explain where he'd been. He didn't have to. They had long passed the point where explanations mattered. He set his keys on the counter, his eyes avoiding hers. Claire studied him, the familiar cut of his jaw, the slight tiredness in his shoulders. Once, those same shoulders had carried her laughter. Now they carried something heavier, the weight of too many quiet nights like this. She motioned toward the food, still untouched. He nodded, sat down, and reached for his fork, though neither of them seemed hungry. Every motion felt rehearsed, two actors repeating lines from a play they no longer believed in. The air between them was filled with all the things they hadn't said. The missed calls, the fading affection, the long drives home in silence. Claire could feel the truth pressing against her chest, but she kept it there, unspoken, because once it left her lips, there would be no going back. Ethan looked up at her once, briefly. In that moment, she saw the man she had loved, the one who used to make plans, who used to build futures out of ordinary days. But the look faded quickly, replaced by the same quiet resignation that had become their language. The candles flickered again, one of them collapsing into a pool of wax. The room dimmed a little more. Claire leaned back in her chair, her eyes tracing the shadows on the wall. Somewhere in the distance, thunder rolled low, though the storm never came. She realized then that this was how endings truly happened. Not with tears or chaos, but with stillness. A slow surrender disguised as peace. A love story closing its last chapter under candlelight, too polite to call itself tragedy. Outside, the tide was pulling back from the shore, leaving behind the scent of salt and memory. And in that still, fragile quiet, Claire understood. Some things don't die suddenly. They just stop trying to live.